This meeting's come to order, and Suzanne, we'll start with you, please.
Thank you. Mayor Levy.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Harvey.
Here.
Councilmember Carr.
Here.
Councilmember Matthews.
Here.
Councilmember Saunier.
Here.
Councilmember Sawyer.
Here.
Councilmember Schaefer.
Here.
Thank you.
Very good. Would you all please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, thank you very much. We'll move on to item 4, and we have no ceremonies or presentations tonight. Item number 5, Suzanne, would you like to start?
Yes, thank you, Mayor Levy. This evening, we just had to rearrange. We had the item that's on 9A in the original agenda was listed under 8A. So we've just moved it from 8A to 9A because it's a public hearing.
Okay, great. Any questions, council? Okay, thank you, Suzanne. We'll move on to the consent calendar. Suzanne?
Thank you, Mayor Levy. This evening, we just have the minutes from the July 21st regular city council meeting.
Council, any questions? Now we'll call for a motion to approve the consent calendar.
Move to approve the consent calendar.
Second.
Thank you, Suzanne.
Carr.
Abstain.
Harvey.
Yes.
Levy.
Yes.
Matthews.
Yes.
Saunier.
Yes.
Sawyer.
Yes.
Schaefer.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries 6-0.
Mr. Mayor, as a point of information, abstentions count as a positive vote.
I think you were abstaining because you weren't present.
I wasn't here,
at the
so
meeting.
that's, yeah, it's no protest vote or anything.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we have no unfinished business tonight, so we'll move on to ordinances on initial posting. And Suzanne?
Thank you, Mayor Levy. As council has in their packet a memo from Erin Smith, city attorney, she will be here at the next council meeting to do the public hearing and answer any questions on this. So I am just going to read this into the record. The city's cable franchise agreement with TDS Baja Broadband is up for renewal on September 1st, 2016. Extending the franchise agreement will enable further renewal negotiations in the best interest of the community. Ordinance number 1286, Series 2016, extends the franchise agreement through September 7th, 2017. It's recommended that council approve ordinance number 1286, Series 2016 on initial posting and set the public hearing for August 18th, 2016.
Thank you, Suzanne. Questions, council?
I have one as a point of clarification. What is the difference between a franchise and permitted work in the right-of-way? Can we answer that tonight, or should we wait for the public hearing?
I know you are. I can feel it. The franchise, we'll get more clarification from Erin, but I think perhaps in its simplistic terms, the franchise agreement allows for many different things that an entity can do beyond working in the right-of-way. So I think working in the right-of-way is a subset of the franchise agreement.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, if not, we'll just call for a motion to consider ordinance 1286 on initial posting.
I move approval of ordinance 1286 as presented.
Thank you. Second?
Second.
Thank you, Val. Suzanne?
Harvey?
Yes.
Levy?
Yes.
Matthews?
Yes.
Saunier?
Yes.
Sawyer?
Yes.
Schaefer?
Yes.
Carr?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you, Suzanne. We'll move on to item number 9, public hearing. This is a QJ hearing, so council members use electronic devices to access the materials relevant to the public hearing before us. Be assured that it is the common practice of this city council that these devices are not being used for texting, emailing, or other communications during this public hearing. And Sally Riley, welcome.
Thank you. Good evening. This hearing is a request for the city's review and approval of a 2-year extension to August 4th, 2018 of the Top of Paradise Filing Number 1 preliminary plat, also known as Paradise of Colorado, for a 29 single-family lot subdivision, preliminary plat, that is on 31 acres and generally located northeast of Thunder Ridge Drive and Majestic Parkway, as requested by North Peak Properties, LLC. Good. I have a brief PowerPoint to explain the reason for an extension of a preliminary plat. But at first, I would like to begin by showing you the zoning map, and outlined in green is the Top of Paradise 200-acre parcel that has been currently master planned. A portion of that 200 acres, which is outlined in red, was initially preliminary platted in order for the original developer, Mr. Will Brown, to begin platting individual lots, putting in the infrastructure, roads, sewer, water, drainage, and he was able to complete a portion of this preliminary plat, which is shown with the individual lots, but the portion that has not been final platted is shown in this area. That's the 31 acres. So again, this is another picture of the master plan, and this master plan, these were approved in 2005. A master plan is valid for 5 years. It has been extended a couple of times, so it is still valid until 2020. And outlined in red shows the original preliminary plat section of this master planned area in the Top of Paradise. This is the preliminary plat that was approved in 2005. We have had 7 extensions. It's not unusual to have extensions. Preliminary plats are valid for 2 years. And then if you continue to final plat, a final plat will extend it for a year. But thus far, the original developer only final platted this section that is outlined in blue, and representing the owner of the portion, the 29 lots remaining in future filings, Mr. Tony Perry is here this evening that can answer questions about this preliminary plat and portion that could be developed in the future. So staff finds that this request is reasonable to extend the plat to 2018. And due to kind of the slow recovery of the economic term down and the bank's ability to absorb these initial lots, additional time is a valid request. There are no standards with which we review an extension of a preliminary plat. So what we do look at, however, is have there been any changes to the subdivision regulations, Title 17, that may impact this plat, and thus far during this time period, the only change in Title 17 in 2009 was the addition of cluster housing. That would have no effect on this plat, so the standards are still compatible to our existing code. So with that, both the Planning Commission and the staff recommend approval of this extension for 2 years to August 4th, 2018. Happy to answer any questions about the Top of Paradise preliminary plat.
Thank you, Sally. John?
Who are the principals for North Peak Properties?
I would defer that question to Mr. Perry.
All right.
Thanks, Tony. If you just give us your name and address before you start.
Tony Perry, 330 Ponderosa Court, Woodland Park. The principals, we went through about 13 months of due diligence, which included all of the regulatory bodies, but basically the primary principal is the majority owner of the bank, and will also include my wife and I in that property.
All right, thank you.
Go ahead, Carol.
So the extension will allow the principals to possibly develop the plat, but not sell it.
That's correct. A preliminary plat allows the developer to move forward with installation of roads and utilities based on approved construction drawings by the city engineer. And it is not until a final plat is recorded that lots can be conveyed.
And so in the next 2 years, it's possible a final plat could be requested?
That's correct. And even if a final plat is requested and the improvements are not completed, then along with that final plat, you will see a subdivision development agreement, and that will be secured for those improvements at 150%.
I can't imagine us not approving this tonight, but what would happen if we did not?
If you did not, then they would come back with a future proposal of another preliminary plat.
Okay.
Thanks.
Anybody else? Tony, thanks very much.
Can I
Appreciate
make
it.
a public comment?
Absolutely, please do.
I would like to communicate to the community that the Parade of Homes officially started, and we were able to get Lot 5 somewhat completed. We have the TCO at least. Last year we had about 5,000 Parade of Homes persons come through the subdivision, and we expect the same this year, which is very positive, I think, for the community. Appreciate the city's efforts. We've put up displays about some amenities that are coming in the city and current amenities. Also would like to say that Lot 2 will start building that home here within the next 3 weeks or so. Lot 17 is in drawing stages, and Lot 9, 10, and 28 should begin construction in the next 18 months, 12 to 18 months. And we anticipate, we're down from 27 lots in the, down to 12, and we anticipate another 4 to 6 takedown within the next year. So I think that's positive for the community, and we appreciate the support of the city. So,
Yeah, it's a beautiful home this year.
Thank you very much. We're in public comment. If anyone else would like to come forward at this time and have any questions relative to this issue, if not, the council will call for a motion. Consider approval of the 2-year extension.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Suzanne?
Levy,
Yes.
Matthews,
Yes.
Sonier,
Yes.
Sawyer,
Yes.
Schaefer,
Yes.
Carr,
Yes.
Harvey.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you, Suzanne. Thanks again, Tony. It's one of the premier, maybe the premier piece of property in our community for development, and we really appreciate all you're doing. Thank you very much. Okay, we'll move on to new business, and actually have none tonight. Public comment on items not on the agenda. I've got a couple people signed up, and Jerry Good is first tonight. Mr. Good, would you like to come forward? Kind of a regular around here, Jerry.
You know, it's kind of scary, and I apologize about that. My name's Jerry Good. I reside at 1005 Sun Valley Drive. I also own Williams Log Cabin Furniture and am a member of the Downtown Development Authority Board. I've just got a brief statement that I would like to present. I'm just here to make sure that the council is aware that today it was brought to my attention that emails belonging to the Downtown Development Authority have disappeared. I just want to make sure you're aware of this. It's a very serious situation, and I request that the council look into this, just so that everybody's on the same page. That's all I got.
When you say disappeared, what does that mean?
They no longer exist on the DDA's email server. Somebody removed them. Now, beyond that, I'm going to bow out as far as I am not privy to all the information other than this situation.
I don't understand. How many emails are missing?
From, I believe it was October 25th of 2015 to June 10th of 2016. And they were to a certain email address, I believe. Again, I need to express my ignorance on this situation, but I thought it was important that it was brought to your attention.
Has this been confirmed by someone other than you?
Yes.
I can speak to the issue.
Okay.
The city was using Peak Internet as the internet service provider as we were transitioning from one service provider to another. And Peak's service ended in October of 2015 when we transitioned to Microsoft Outlook 365. The date that Mr. Good references is the date that that transition occurred. We had an open records request for emails from the DDA office, and we began doing our due diligence to answer that request. And we were able to find all the emails from the DDA office prior to that August date. So all those that were supported by Peak Internet have been found and provided to the DDA. The June 10th date that Mr. Good mentions is when an employee of the DDA left the service of the DDA. Beginning June 11th, we are able to track down the emails that were supported by Microsoft Outlook 365. We've checked through Microsoft Outlook to see if those emails were recoverable, and they're not. With at least the technology that they were able to describe to us, though there are no emails from October of 2015 to June 10th of 2016.
Do we have any sense of how that happened or who did that? Or
No. We know that from a technical perspective, and you know this from your own email process, when you delete an email, it goes into your trash or a bin or some other place that you periodically have to empty. Typically, when you empty that bin or that trash container, it goes into an area that is still recoverable. We have checked those areas, and there is nothing in there that's to recover. So I cannot state for a fact that emails were deleted and emptied and then made non-recoverable. But what I can tell you is that there are no recoverable emails from October of 2015 until June 10th of 2016. Beginning June 11th, we're able to recover those.
Would that include all of the emails from the city accounts as well?
No.
Just-
No.
Oh.
You mean as far as being deleted?
Yeah.
No, the open records request was strictly about the downtown development office.
All of us were in receipt of the notices of all meetings of the DDA.
Sure.
Would that have been part of the request?
No, there was a specific request from one source of information.
Okay.
Could a request occur that could be a general request of anyone who might have been in receipt? Sure. And that would then cause us to begin to do that research.
Okay.
But we answered the open records request.
Except
There's
for
a
that
void.
period.
There's a gap.
Who are we talking about here?
I'm sorry?
Who are we talking about?
Well,
Oh, I'm
it's-
sorry.
Go, no, I wasn't speaking to you. Go right ahead, Paul.
Who are we talking about? Who was the request? We're talking about a particular person, I assume.
The Downtown Development Authority, as a board, submitted a records request to the city for those records. Now, the DDA has full access to those. They were their staff members' records. So we, though, provided that IT support to that office as well. So we did that work and we provided those things that were available and answered their request.
Are we obligated under law to hold?
Yeah, our policy states that we keep records for 2 years. And we were able to do that.
There are companies that specialize in recovering lost or disappeared data. Have you, or do you intend to find one of those companies and ask them to?
We can
look
do that,
for? But
we've talked to Microsoft Outlook,
Okay.
the people who created that, and we can certainly try that. It's clearly this is a sensitive situation, and that costs money. It's the DDA's effort. We were their provider of that service, and we can certainly try to find someone who can take another step to look at it to see if it can be recovered. That will cost money. Typically, when we have open records requests, we charge those entities for the energy and the effort and the expenses that it takes staff to do that. But these were DDA records from a DDA staff member. So I'm okay, if council's okay, in seeing if we can take another step technically to see if they can be recovered. The vast majority of this technical support information came to us with just in the last few days because we've been trying to figure out how to get this recovered. We knew about the issue as we were working through it just within the last week or so, or soon after the records request was made. But we were doing our due diligence to get it recovered, and we've not been successful. So council would like for me to take that next step. We'll give it a shot.
Let me just clarify here. Since the transition over to Microsoft, these emails are stored on Microsoft servers. So we would have to go through Microsoft to request backups if they do that. So I'm unaware of where the city would do that or Peak Internet would do that. I'm unaware of the costs, but it's the emails prior to that were recovered.
And we have talked to, as I mentioned, we have gone to Microsoft Outlook, and they've told us that they cannot be recovered. We're happy to, if you want me to, I'm happy to try another, third-party entity to see if something.
Well, a third party wouldn't allow access to their service with third party.
Yeah,
You just have to go to a second level or a third
I'm
level
real
or talk to a
skeptical
manager.
about that. I've been in the industry for 40-some years, and those records are out there. Microsoft
there.
has those records.
Okay.
I
We'll
don't
give
care
it a
what they
shot
say.
then.
I don't know why they would say that. That would make national news. They don't
Yeah,
have
that's
recoverable.
level 1 stuff. You need
Yeah,
to go to level
yeah.
2 or their sysadmins to look at the servers.
What's the city's liability or the DDA's liability relative to the lost records?
I really don't know the answer to that. I mean, it's embarrassing. But I don't know from a legal perspective, could a lawsuit be brought against us from the DDA? Perhaps. We fulfilled the request, and when we were trying to fulfill that request, we found this information out. I would suggest to you that fiscally, that because of our insurance coverage, there really is probably very little liability, but it is an embarrassing situation.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I'm guessing the recovery things that others have been talking about is somebody's personal hard drive or something?
No, the initial recovery was from Peak Internet, who was hosting the email server, the Exchange server.
I'm going to make a wild guess at who this is, but there's probably a personal computer that brings those files, all those emails that come out in everybody's
No, they're not
things.
using Outlook. They're using Outlook.com. So they're not moving it over to a PST or an OST file. If that's what you're thinking.
Well, John was talking about a recovery thing. That
Right,
would be,
but
that would be a Microsoft thing. That'd be a personal hard drive
Right, that is if
situation.
you had a computer at home and it crashed, you would
Yes.
submit that
I
hard
know
drive
all this.
to,
That's what I'm saying. I'm asking
Yeah,
if
that's
we're
not
looking
gonna
at a
happen.
personal computer.
No, we're not looking at a personal.
Okay.
Well, we're looking at an employee's computer that's
Yeah.
owned by the city.
Right, right.
So-
That's what I'm asking is that process been exhausted at this point?
Of looking
Looking at that computer?
for the tools that we have available to us, yes. But I mean, as I've offered, and you two are kind of debating because you know about this much more than I do on the benefit of trying to find somebody that could continue to look for these or challenge Microsoft Outlook, even though they've told us they're not recoverable. We can try to track it down and keep going.
Would we all agree?
I think we start out with the cost first, see what the cost would be to go to that second level if Microsoft is willing to go to that level, and then let's start there because it might just be an exorbitant. I know I did a recovery for a radio station, and it was $10,000 for a RAID 5 configuration, and that was to me that was way too much. But
I used to do data recoveries back a couple of decades ago, and it's changed a lot, but I would suggest that we start with the easy part, which would be the local hard drive. That won't be that expensive, and look at that first, and then go fight Microsoft or tweak them so that they will cooperate further, would be maybe, I would suggest that as a second step if we need to.
Kenny?
Jerry, I guess that maybe put this in perspective as to what, if the cost is worth what we're, what are we after out of these emails? What's the goal? What are we missing, or what are we getting in return for investing money to find this? There must be something very important there that we're missing, I take. Or maybe you can't share it with me, but it's apparently very serious, is that correct?
I believe so,
Okay.
but you're correct. I'm not at liberty to express myself in that regard, and I'm not that. I don't have enough information to give you a really good answer. I do know that what has happened is wrong. It's a very serious situation, and we need to remedy it.
Well, were these, is the assumption that these were emails that went to other than DDA members? Or if they did go to other DDA members, then it seems like the information would be retrievable on their accounts.
It was to an individual's address, but I don't know what's on there. I do know that we may have to have them.
So, but the question is, if you know that this is a particular email that went to an individual, can we not do a FOIA request to have that individual's computer searched?
If the DDA wants to make that request, and it's a computer, of a person who's on a board or a committee or a commission, I mean, there's no obligation for someone in the private sector.
Correct.
But if someone is connected to that, then they have an obligation to provide that information. But that's not the request that was made of us.
Okay. So it's someone other than someone associated with the DDA or with the city in an
Ma'am,
official capacity?
Nobody currently there.
I can clarify, Carol. The DDA was just asking for all their emails. That's it.
So an entire set of emails or several accounts are not retrievable?
Just
No. There's only one account.
There's only one
that we
account.
know of that's not retrievable.
Is there any indication that this was malicious intent and then charges could be brought against that person?
I don't think I want to speculate on
Okay.
that. I've given you what we know, that when there was a transition from service providers, we were able to recover everything before that.
And the only thing you cannot recover is the information on one individual's account.
We've not looked anyplace else because
Okay.
we weren't asked to look anyplace else.
Right, so this is a great opportunity to start looking into that and seeing that maybe we are vulnerable and maybe we need to look at other options for our email.
Yeah, I want to make sure that the council and the community understands this isn't a peak internet issue.
No.
So I don't want
No,
them to come out looking like the bad person. And I don't know that Microsoft Outlook is. Are there some additional security measures that we might put into place? Sure. But I would suggest to you that the vast majority of us in this room don't know how to complete that third step. You delete, you empty your trash, and you're done. But that skill set does exist.
Well, my point is, if this is one individual's account and it appears that it was an intentional permanent deletion, that's one thing. But if it's several accounts that we have lost a period of time, then that's something else that we have to deal with in terms of cybersecurity.
It's the former, not the latter. It's
Okay.
one account.
Oh, okay, that's different.
Can I ask another question? I've run into this in the past with my corporation a long time ago, and I'm not trying to impose this on it, but sometimes this is a loss that is sometimes partially covered by insurance. Can we look into that?
We will absolutely see if we can do that.
That might help with the
cost.
So, go ahead, John.
So June 10th was the last day of employment of a certain individual.
Correct.
Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Looks like that.
All right.
Goodness.
Councilman, go ahead, Paul.
I'm sorry, I just don't know the procedures, and this is, can we make a motion to move forward to look into this situation? Or what's?
You don't
We don't need to make a motion. I think, do we all agree what Noel said? Take the next step and find out from Microsoft what the cost would be to go to a level 2 or however you describe it, and then go from there. Does that make the most sense?
We do it at Oracle. We have advanced consulting that we have them go into the code and go into certain layers and look at possibilities to retrieve data. I mean, that's what I do for a living. I retrieve data that's missing on Oracle databases.
I think what we need to know, though, is how much is that going to cost, and are we willing
I agree
to
with you
spend
on
that
that,
amount of
Carol.
money for whatever the gain may be?
So I think just a head nod or an agreement that David should take that next step. Is that?
Well, I sort of inserted
You did the hard
one
drive
before,
search.
the first, that might be cheaper and easier to check that out first.
And I took that as part of the.
Yeah, okay.
Jerry, would this suffice for the DDA at this time, that we're going to look into it more?
Absolutely. I just think that we're all kind of in this, and wanted to make sure that you're aware. So I have the utmost confidence in the council.
All right, well, you have two very advanced IT people here, so we will
Yes, we do.
make sure that that we have Dave look into it.
Yep.
And that would be John and Ken.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you for bringing
Jerry,
it to our
thanks very
attention.
much.
Thank you.
And if you see that some things are overlooked, whatever, just please let us know.
Yeah, I'm just kind of the Paul Revere.
You're the messenger. Thanks for the message. Appreciate it. Okay. Next, I have Tanner Coy.
More good news.
Tanner Coy, 550 Allegheny Drive, Colorado Springs. Good evening, Mayor, Council, staff,
Good evening.
everybody. As promised, quick update on our loan refinance efforts. The DDA board discussed the issue on at the August 2nd meeting. The board considers the loan agreement a very important issue and asked me to continue pursuing bond issuance as a means of refinancing the debt. Since our last meeting here 2 weeks ago, I have worked with the City Finance Department to review DDA financials. I've met with David Buttery twice to review the financial report he presented to the DDA last month. I've discussed TIF calculation and revenues with the county assessor and county treasurer to better understand DDA cash flow and our projected revenues. I've confirmed with our legal counsel, Paul Benedetti, he is in communication with Conrad Freeman of Vector Bank, reviewing the bond issuance issue. And I've met with Dale Schnitger to review the DDA's current bond debt and to request an updated bond issuance proposal reflecting accurate numbers. Dale is willing to rework that proposal, but he did make a request, and that is for something in writing from council stating any number that may be agreeable, just so that he is not continuing to rework the proposal as numbers may change. I told him I would make that request. Furthermore, it appears the DDA will likely finish this year below budgeted expenses. Unfortunately, it appears we might also finish this year below budgeted revenues. It's not yet clear what the net outcome will be, but I am working diligently to resolve the data and prepare the DDA for a bond issuance. It is clear that Vector Bank will be analyzing several years of DDA financial performance, looking for a track record that will justify the loan. You may know the past several years have not been very strong for the DDA financially. I don't want to dash your hopes of a refinance, but I certainly am not here to raise them at this point either. I will continue to pursue the issue diligently and will report to you regularly. Are there any questions?
Appreciate the report, Tanner, and we'll continue to get reports. David, what should the process be for us to discuss that number?
Well, we've been through that process, and I know what that number is from a recent session with the council, and I will reiterate that number to Mr. Schnittler in a letter that, Mr. Merrill, I'll have you sign if the council's okay with that.
Yeah. Everybody good with that?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Should we have Tanner on the agenda in the coming meetings? Since he will report once a month? I think we asked you to report when you have something, so maybe we don't need to do that. But when you have a report, we'd like to hear it for sure, and we'll try to get back to you with that information that you requested.
Okay.
And I'll make sure that you get a copy of the letter to Dale, if that's okay with the council.
Yeah.
Okay.
Carol?
One other question, in the likelihood that the reissuance of the bond is not possible, would you also be able to address a payment plan?
Absolutely. We'd be happy to work that out.
Then I would personally like to see that at your next report.
A payment plan
For the future, based on the
Assuming
number that we had previously provided to the DDA board.
Okay.
If it's not refinanced?
If
or
it is not
if
refinanced.
So, Plan B, I guess.
Plan B.
Sure.
Okay.
And maybe C.
The DDA board meets monthly, and though I can present information to you that we have, I'll need to discuss with the board what they feel is appropriate or
Possible.
possible to propose to you and bring to you. Also, I am finding through the process that honing in on definite DDA financial information that is substantiated is something of a challenge. Calculating the revenues for this year and next is proving to be a bit of a moving target. Anything until we've really nailed down those numbers, anything that I do report to you in the near future may be subject to some adjustment pending substantiated financial data. I'm sure you understand. I just want to make that clear.
I appreciate it.
I'm sure a lot of that will be based on county assessor.
And treasurer and city finance department and DDA and bankers and lawyers. It's quite a team working on this. And so you know, my perspective on this is that the DDA's financials are your financials, and everything that we have will be completely transparent and open to you so that you can make the decisions that you need to make and approaching it as a team.
Well, we want you to know that anything that the city can do to help, we're there for you.
Thank you.
Including finding lost emails.
Absolutely. Val?
So I heard a couple things in there that aren't really thrilling. There was something about a shortfall on earnings, isn't the right word, revenue. That's going to affect your presentation to Vectra, I would think. Is it significant, or is it just a tweak with the property tax or something?
It is a material discrepancy between revenues collected and projected for the year and what was budgeted, based on assessor's certification of values.
You also mentioned, I know you have a full-time job, so I feel stupid asking this question, but has Jerry mentioned a problem with retrieving data emails? Does that have anything to do with the collection of financials, or
I don't believe
are
so.
they connected at all?
I don't believe so. The emails appear to be a very specific set of data related to other issues. The financial data is the discrepancies I'm trying to chase down right now they appear to me to be on the assessor's end of things, perhaps a miscalculation in TIF revenues that has resulted in payments not consistent with what was projected in their own certification. But to some degree, I'm speculating. I'm having a hard time getting solid answers out of them at this point, and they're being cooperative, but it's, they're asking for several more days to look through complex software and look at math and why the treasurer's math is different from the assessor's math, and we're working through it.
Tanner, is there any discrepancy as mill levies are collected for all of the taxing districts that possibly that amount of money that should have come back to the DDA was paid mistakenly to other taxing districts?
That's pure speculation at this point. Some comments that were made to me may suggest that. I was told the DDA's portion of TIF is 26%, 26 point something. That was news to me.
Never heard
That other taxing districts still get a portion of those revenues, and I understand that to be the case, but that's calculated based on the baseline that was established when the DDA formed, and really beyond that is not a part of the TIF calculation. So I'm struggling to understand their 26 point something percent and how their math differs from ours.
When Tanner made the comment about it being complicated, it truly is. The assessments drive the budgeted numbers. Several years ago, there was a miscalculation between the treasurer and the assessor. They were using different softwares, and the softwares didn't communicate. And we spent several days in Teller County getting that resolved. That resulted in rebates from the other taxing districts back to the city. Some of you that have been on council for a while may recall that. I don't know that that would fill the entire gap that Tanner's concerned with. One of the things also is you need to remember that he said revenues were down and expenses were down. There seems to be a nuance in new construction and assessed valuations and the taxes that an entity pays, and then the following years after that. Remember that no TIF reimbursements are made to entities until they pay property taxes. Those property taxes are based on assessed valuation. Tanner discovered that it appears that in the first year, though, those values are based on construction costs, which aren't the assessed valuation. So there could be a discrepancy there. But it's happened in years past where a project will not get completed when we've created the budget and presented it to you. And so there's less revenue, but there's also less expense going out because of that TIF reimbursement. So for the most part, those are commensurate. But the one issue that is still unresolved in my mind is this whole issue of the valuation based on construction costs versus the true assessed valuation. So it'll be interesting to see how this one comes out. So I think it's going to be a couple of things that drive this. I think the DDA board working with the assessor and the treasurer is absolutely the right thing for them to be doing. They're the ones that hold the keys to the process, and this is where they need to be digging in with their research. The Vectra Bank, I believe the Vectra Bank loans have been already paid this year, so I don't think that's an issue. You know that the DDA staff has been reduced, so the operational costs have gone down. So it'll be interesting to see how this plays out with Teller County.
And I suggest until we get those numbers and that information, it's really not a whole lot to talk about. But Noel, you have something.
I don't know whether I should bring it up. There is a part in each TIF contract that if the DDA can't cover some of its expenses, then the entity that's getting that TIF will have a reduced TIF.
Yeah, that's true as well. That's
Right.
very true.
So if you want to, do you want to explain that, Tanner?
No. I'll do what I can. What Councilman Sawyer said is accurate. Is a function of all TIF reimbursement agreements that I'm aware of. I believe is language that is designed to help protect the DDA. That our bond debt and I believe our city debt come before TIF reimbursements, and if there is not enough money in the DDA budget to cover all of the expenses, then TIF reimbursements may pay the price. And that is money to be paid to entities that are properties where money has been invested in the community. And so I hate to see that happen to them. And we'll work very hard to make sure that the DDA can cover all of its debts, including those TIF reimbursements.
Right, and that's representing representing the DDA. Let me put my other hat on. That's the last thing we want to do, because a lot of these businesses that actually rely on this TIF agreement, and they budget with the TIF. So that's the last thing we want to do, but our priority is Vector Bank. Our priority is the city.
Well, just to be clear, the first priority, first position is Vector Bank.
Correct.
The city has taken a back seat to the TIF reimbursements. The city has never asked for payments to be made to us instead of to those businesses that have invested. So the city has no position. As I recall from the agreement, I can certainly tell you that the city has not received any reimbursements on the principal. The city has received a couple of interest payments from the DDA, but certainly not on the principal. So it's an important distinction that the city doesn't want to throw the TIF receivers under the bus in front of them. The city's saying, no, you've got to take care of the businesses first.
Okay, well, I'm trying to, Councilwoman Harvey, I just want to let her understand that if things work out with the city, that we will be completely.
I never even brought that up as a point. You did.
Okay.
Tanner, thank you very much. Thanks for your time, and we'll look forward to hearing from you.
Thanks.
You bet. Okay, we will move on. No other public comment today? Okay, we'll move on to reports. And Kip, why don't we start with the student art tonight? There you go. Say-Do 2, I believe is the right pronunciation. Say-Do 2, sixth grader at Woodland Park Middle School, has provided this piece of art for us. And as we always mention, any businesses who would like to see these in their own business to be displayed, please get a hold of the school district, and there are a number there that you'd love to have in your business. Okay, first I'd just like to thank everybody in the community, all the council members that were there, city staff at the National Night Out on Monday night. We had a tremendous turnout. I'm guessing 400 or 500. I don't know. What do you think? Chief, you want to speak to it for a minute? Because you guys did a great job.
Thank you, Mayor. We guessed there's probably 350 to 400 people there. Without Cord Prettyman and Beverly Hodges and Ryan Holsworth putting it together, it would not have been as big as it was. But it was an amazing event. We got a lot of really positive feedback. We had the Lions Camp bring in a number of kids, and they had a great time sitting in the various emergency vehicles and getting their pictures taken. So it was really good seeing all the support that we hear about. and it's just getting bigger and bigger. I want to thank you, Mayor and City Manager, for speaking at the event as well, and all the public that just showed up. It just was a wonderful time.
And how many dollars in contributions did you receive for the event? That's important to acknowledge as well.
We were in excess of $4,000 from our community, and it was amazing. We had about 75 people last year, and just to see it grow like this was very, very impressive.
Thanks. Really well done. Thank you very, very much. And thanks, like you said, to Cord Prettyman and Sergeant Holdsworth and Ms. Hodges. Couldn't have done it without them. It was really a typical great Woodland Park event with kids and young people and old people and smiles and everybody having a great time. And it was just very characteristic of our community. So next year we're going to even have more people.
Absolutely.
Farmers Market tomorrow and every Friday through September 30th at 7 o'clock behind Vector Bank from 7 to 1. Every Saturday through September 17th, free walking tours of History Park in downtown Woodland Park. Call 686-7512 for more information. Saturday, August 7th from 9 to 4 and Sunday, August 8th from 10 to 3 is the Critter Rescue Roundup at the Dinosaur Resource Center. That'll be a big event this weekend. Saturday, August 7th from noon to 6 is the 9th annual Vino and Notes at Woodland Station. And I think Ben left, but tremendous turnout the last few years. I expect the same with great weather this weekend. Wednesday, August 10th from 10 to noon, Touch a Truck Day at Meadowwood Sports Complex for all the kids. It's a great event, and look for a big turnout there. Friday, August 12th, Movie Above the Clouds. It's the last one of the summer. I know they've been well attended. There'll be food available, and the movie starts at sunset about 8 o'clock p.m. Saturday, August 13th, 27th annual Mayor's Cup, kids runs, 50, I think, in 100-yard dash, 5K and 10K, 687-5225 for information at Park and Rec, and we expect a big turnout for that. Saturday, August 13th, also, Woodland Music Series presents jazz and big band on the green at the Cultural Center at 11 o'clock. That is a free event. And also a special event Saturday, August 13th, next Saturday, Aging in Place Symposium at the Mountain View United Methodist Church from 8:30 until 3. They'll provide a free lunch, and 687-3668, I'm sorry, 687-3868 for more information. And that's all I have. Councilman Harvey?
There are posters at the council members' positions that were provided by the Historic Preservation Committee. It's a great placemat poster that was done in commemoration of our 125th anniversary. You may see this. These are available to the public. It's a really good photo at the top from, I'm assuming that's 1891, and then 2016. And then some photographs that Dave Langley and members of the Historic Preservation Committee used to represent what it looked like 125 years ago and then today. And then on the back there is a description of each of those photos. These are available, as I said, to the public at the Farmers Market on the second Friday of the month. So next Friday you'll be able to pick them up there, or you can pick those up in Sally's office. Sally, anything to add to any of the efforts from the Preservation Committee?
No, it was just a great project with Dave Langley's office working on this and the committee.
You could laminate it, eat on it, I'm sure. But yeah, it's a cool poster. That's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Val?
Well, I got to finally take my long-delayed parks tour, and I was amazed at the number of parks we have. Some that there's no way I'd ever find them, truly, but a pretty amazing amount of park space we have. A couple of them, I think they'd be nice lots to sell and make a lot of money, but that's a whole different subject. But they're all well marked. I couldn't believe it. There were markers on every one of them, if you know where to look. And really a tremendous effort by the Parks and Rec folks and the city to upkeep all those parks. Meadowood's got some incredible things going on there that are coming to, that are going to be fun for us ex-hockey players like myself. Another issue that I have, subject I have, I've been attending the Economic Vitality Committee. I sent a little email out today. I'm kind of the default city council liaison or Valcar citizen liaison. I guess we haven't determined that, but it's a pretty good committee, and it really is. It's really part of the Main Street blah 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 under that, but it is really kind of an independent committee, and they've got some real good planning going on for what they're going to do, and it might be an idea to think about maybe the council actually pays attention to it, meaning a liaison or of some sort. I don't know. Just I'm throwing it out for future consideration. But it's a pretty good committee.
So in the meantime, we have a liaison.
Well, yeah. If you want to call me that, otherwise I'll just go anyway.
Kenny?
Nothing tonight.
Paul?
I'm appreciative of being able to hear openly issues and how dedicated DDA is and serious about their responsibilities. I deeply appreciate the information and the way it is presented, and thank you very much. And to the city staff and council, just thank you and have a good night.
Thanks, Paul. Mr. Sawyer shaking his head.
I have nothing.
Mr. Schaefer, I know, has an update on America West Housing.
No, I don't.
You don't?
Still making slow progress, but I attended the vintage baseball game last Saturday. It was an interesting experience. Players running around catching the ball and sometimes not catching with bare hands. The UPass Steamers put up a good fight, but I left when the score was 25-4.
Oh, jeez.
But the rain held off, and I think a good time was had by all who watched. And our city manager plays a mean second base.
Okay, with that, since the city attorney's not here, we'll turn it over to our second baseman.
And I'm still feeling muscles that I haven't felt in 25 years as a result of that game. Memorial Park update. If every time you drive by, something new is happening over there. Things are going more vertical. They're starting to spread some of the topsoil. They hope to have some of the sod down north of the sidewalk that runs east-west through the middle part of the park within the next couple of weeks. The restroom facilities, most of the materials are here. You'll see those going vertical fairly soon. They finished up placing the liner in the pond and then backfilling over the liner. So relatively soon they'll start filling up the pond. They have some rock work to do along the surface level where the water will interface with the dirt so that there's not erosion there, and you can see them starting to place boulders as well. So it's very exciting to see that project continue. The pool update, it's in that stage now where you don't see a lot of activity because most of it is below ground level. They've done a lot of excavation. They've got the form work in for the retaining wall that will hold up the high school parking lot. The west side of that wall is completely formed, and it looks like they'll place the concrete there in the next few days. They've also completed the vast majority of the infrastructure connections that run underneath the school turnaround. So they're making good progress. We meet with them every 2 weeks for an update. Communication with the school as well is going well. Also, I met with the superintendent to review a couple of issues surrounding school starting on August 23rd, and we think we're in great shape there to make sure that the school can open safely with construction still ongoing. I'm happy to answer any questions. The staff has no other reports this evening.
I'm interested also in, I don't think I missed this. I tried to listen to the last meeting through YouTube. We still have a sound problem, but we've talked about that. I'm going to try to help if I can. The Swan, I'm going to call it the Swanhorst problem.
Oh, the audit.
Yeah, the audit. What is there update?
There's really no update to it. I mentioned to you that the reserve was at about 9.3%. There were 6 funds that were out of balance at the end of the year. Some were hundreds of dollars. Some of those were the grant funds, and it was just a timing of the revenue. What we've discovered is that towards the end of the year, there should have been a transfer from the general fund where all those monies go and then they get placed into those other funds to cover them. That didn't occur. The money was there. That simple transfer from one account number to another account number did not happen. That was the source of those points. When our new finance director gets on board, which is very soon, a week and a couple of days, he will be working with the auditors to understand completely what happened so that that doesn't happen again. The money isn't missing. It was just a simple line item transfer that didn't occur before December 31st.
Well, we'll get some sort of final report at some point once they go through.
There's really
all
not
that.
much more to report, but we will take steps to make sure that that kind of step isn't missed.
Okay.
Anybody else? I have no comments on written correspondence. So this meeting's adjourned.
I asked him that.